I am Brian. I work in advertising. He works in advertising. That's what he does, 40 hours a week. Will he get ahead in advertising? I don't know. Should we try to find out by listening to what he says? I'm sitting behind my desk. It's Monday morning. It's Smelly Monday, Rachel said to me. I said nothing. Fancy a quick game of Smelly Kitchens, Brian? No thanks, Rachel. I've just had a sausage. At 10 o'clock the meeting started. We had a new product. It was margarine. Alan, our boss, who had just finished brushing his terrible legs, started the meeting. Okay, you lot, so how are we going to sell this margarine? How about a fast car? Said Laura. What? The margarine is driving a fast car? That's interesting. Yeah, maybe with a beautiful woman next to him. Maybe down some windy roads. I don't think there are any windy roads, Laura, so that isn't interesting. What else have we got? Dwayne said, This stuff's yellow, isn't it? How about a banana? You're really thinking out of the box, Dwayne. That's maybe too radical. Dwayne replied, Do they do banana flavoured? Not yet, Dwayne. Not yet. Anyone else? Then I said this. Maybe we need a mascot. Got any ideas with that, Brian? Yes. Gary Margarine. I like it. What's his slogan? Hi, I'm Gary Margarine. Margarine, anyone? Alan was happy. I love it, yeah. Margarine, anyone? It's inspiring. It will inspire the kids. Who should we get to play him? I said, Colin Farrell. I rang up Colin's agent, Barry Fantastic, to ask if Colin would like to be Gary Margarine. Of course he fucking would, Barry Fantastic answered. But does he need to know what margarine is? No, I said. That's good, replied Barry, because he doesn't know what most things are. Can you come tomorrow for an audition? I said. Of course we fucking can, said Barry gamely. That's if I can get Colin's socks on by then. And if he'll finish that bloody blancmange that I bought him 2 days ago. But yes, if all those things happen, of course we'll fucking be there. Okay, see you tomorrow. Goodbye, Farry Bantastic. My name isn't Farry Bantastic, he said. It's Barry Fantastic. I put the phone somewhere else. Next day, Colin Farrell and his agent Farry Bantastic came in for the audition. Everyone was sort of excited about meeting Colin. Colin could only look at people through mirrors, so it made it a bit hard to shake his hand or pass him his bag of milkshake. After 10 minutes, I found that I could only look at him through a mirror as well. After Colin had said Colin to himself 100 times, he was ready to start the audition. Colin was terrible in the audition. He couldn't say the words Gary or margarine, and he'd run out of mirrors. Colin laughed at himself, and then cried into his satchel. Go home now, Colin. Go home now. Get the bus, please, Alan, our boss, said. Someone said he keeps the tears in his satchel for up to a fortnight, then sends them to Brazil. Someone else said he doesn't. Oh well. A bit later, after I'd finished work, I was drinking alcohol in an alcohol building with some of the others who were doing the same thing. Ted was there, boasting about his new plop hammer. He said, It's got 5 stars. It's made of jungle wood. Sarah Jessica Parker has got 2. Sting is thinking about buying one. Jarvis from accounts piped in scathingly. It's bigger than your usual plop hammer, Ted. Isn't it harder to use? Ted retorted, No, it's not. No, it's definitely not. It was a brilliant debate. We all threw it around for a bit and decided that the plop hammer was really good and that Sting should invest in one. It was getting late and they all wanted another drink, but I made the excuse that I had a massive book at home that I needed to throw away. So they untied me and I cartwheeled to a taxi. When I was sitting inside the taxi, I watched things going past outside and watched the insides of the taxi as well. Funny travel. When I got home, I took off my eyebrows to help me relax. They were Gucci eyebrows, so therefore really heavy. Then I got into a bath full of warm water and cleaned my body. I had a big slice of Wotsits for my tea, and then I put the TV on. Everything was on the TV, so I decided to turn it off, and then I had to start thinking. Why couldn't Colin Farrell be Gary? What went wrong? He's the bestest ever actor. Maybe a Colin can't be a Gary. I rang the Colin from our office to see. He started to imagine he was a Gary, and then he suddenly was a Gary. He asked if he could be a Gary all the time, because he found it freeing. I told him to go back to watching his shitting turnips, and that I'd see him tomorrow. Next day, I was back in the office working. I was trying to think about who could replace Colin Farrell as Gary Margarine. If Colin couldn't do it, not many of us could. Who? My cardigan was beginning to hurt, so I thought I had better have a break from thinking. So I started to daydream about my room full of pasta. 2 minutes into it, Lawrence awoke me from my daydream and drew my attention to a box. "Whose is this box?" he said. I said I didn't know. "We need to open it. You should open it, Brian. You can open things." I opened it. It was full of pasta. It was a sign. Only one man would have sent this, and that man could be Gary Margarine. I quickly spat into someone's scarf and then sprinted into Alan, our boss's office. He was just finishing his bad salad, and I said, "Before you finish that salad, please listen to me speak." He started to listen to me speak. There is only one man in the universe who can handle being Gary Margarine. Please, 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 please tell me who it is, Brian. I said, "Jimmy Nail." After we'd both recovered from fainting after hearing his full name, I went back to my desk. So, Jimmy had sent the box full of pasta. Had he also made me daydream about my room full of pasta? How could he do that? Isn't it too hard to do that? Had he also fixed a tombola where I'd won my room full of pasta so that I'd win it? But that was over a bloody year ago. But I did remember someone who looked like Jimmy who was there. But then again, most people look a bit like him. I sent myself a fax to help me chill out. This was getting too much. Me and Seb found Jimmy in a ditch that he'd rented for the weekend. He was just running up and down it. He said it's what he did at the weekends, instead of going buying things in the shops. He looked lovely. We got into the ditch for a quick sponge fight, and then consulted Jimmy about him being in the advert. He said he was super on TV, and we said he was fab in Our Feeder's Aim Pet, and anything else that he might have been in. But would he do the advert? He slowly moved the flannel across his face, dabbing everything that was on the face.
and while throwing his flannel at a cow, he said he'd do it, but that it would cost us money. And he wanted to feel tired after it. Could we guarantee that he would feel tired after it? Yes, we could guarantee that feeling. Would we guarantee any other feelings as part of the bargain, he asked. No, not this time. If this was successful, next time we could guarantee him some boredom with a touch of jealousy, but only if this went well. He agreed to the job. We did some high fives and then razzed around a few fields in Jimmy's car, throwing more flannels at silly cows. When the cows started to throw the flannels back at us, we pissed off. We had to drive back to the office, so we said goodbye to Jimmy in another ditch. He said he was going to stick around for a bit and arm wrestle passers-by. A week later, we were all on set of the Gary Margarine advert. The Gary Margarine costume was really good. It was green and had tassels and smelt of something. Jimmy was covered in anti-margarine, so that when he was handling the margarine, which would be frequently, it wouldn't melt his soft hands. The sets looked great. There were 4 different scenes for the adverts. The general idea of the adverts was to have a situation where people were trying to think of something to eat, and Gary would turn up, say his slogan, "Hi, I'm Gary Margarine. Margarine anyone?" And then the people would say yes to the offer, and everyone would have a lovely bowl of margarine. The first scene was the classic family round the breakfast table, who have run out of chips and risotto, so they are very happy when Gary smashes through the door. The second scene was with sailing people on a sailing boat. Gary gets to the boat on the back of a shark, which wows the sailing people, who normally would never think of eating a whole bowl of margarine. But because of Gary's shark stunt, they would this once. The third scene was with some rats, and the fourth scene was with some artists on hang gliders in the near future, getting chased by space worms. When we were on set filming, I had to look after Jimmy. Someone had told me that he only eats nails, so I put some in his dressing room, a really big plate of them. Later, when filming had finished and he'd gone home, I went into his dressing room. He'd been nailing margarine to the TV. Brilliant. Jimmy Nail was dead good as Gary. It has all been very successful. Now everyone is eating buckets of margarine. The margarine company is very happy, and they've started to sell all sorts of margarine-related products. Bum bags full of margarine, pens that write with margarine, hair dryers, dogs that like margarine, and talking margarine. We had a party at the office to celebrate. We were all wearing funny baseball caps and throwing around radiators. We'd hired some Bad Phillips from the Bad Phillips shop, and they were going crazy, eating apples and drinking water and talking about science. They were the best Bad Phillips I'd ever seen. Our boss Alan made a speech and got me to come to the front because I had come up with the idea. He said I was really good, and everyone started throwing muesli at my tits to honour me. The Bad Phillips ran away after that. Later that night, when I was at home sleeping in my new microwave, Jimmy Nail phoned me as Gary. He said, "I am Gary Margarine. I am Gary Margarine." I said, "Stop."
Did he get ahead in advertising? I don't know, I was doing something else. Did you hear what he was saying? I can't hear your answer, this is a recording. Bye.